the minutes. Honourable members, Madam SG.
Honourable Chair,
Do we have all the members in
we
the
have
meeting?
about 5 members. We have Angola, I saw Seychelles. I also saw, which country was that? I saw Seychelles, Angola, but the difficulty may be that these are, hello? These are new members. These are new members, Honourable Chair, but they should be able to respond to you in terms of whether they have the minutes or not.
All right.
Honourable members, do we have the documentation for the meeting?
Angola, thanks.
Angola is in possession of the documents, yes.
Seychelles?
Hello.
Yes, Honourable Stock, do you have the...
Good morning, SG. Good morning, Mrs. Chair. No, I don't have the documents. Probably we are new and we don't have the documents. Even
yes, the documents were shared with the Parliament. Paulina, could you kindly confirm?
I do confirm, Madam SG, the documents were shared with the SADC-PF desk officers. So in case of Seychelles, they were shared with Jeline. Thanks.
Madagascar has also confirmed that they do have the documents. Just to accommodate this gap, could we kindly flag the documents on the screen to facilitate members at this point and proceed with the meeting? And I'd also encourage Dennis to be ready to respond to any queries that the honourable member may have in this regard as the committee clerk for the committee. I would have to excuse myself in a few minutes to attend to another engagement up to 12 o'clock.
Thank you, Madam SG. Thank you for being with us.
Madam Chair, those are the minutes of the previous meeting.
Yes. Okay. I think we can just quickly go through the minutes for the members to be able to consider the adoption. I don't know, since most of the members are new, I don't know if there are going to be matters arising.
Honourable Chair, maybe we can go page by page.
Yes, let's start. Honourable members, here are the minutes of the meeting of the SADC Parliamentary Forum Standing Committee on Human Social Development and Special Programs held virtually on Friday, 16th October 2020. Present, we have those 8 members. You can see if your name has been skipped, you can raise that. And then also apologies, we have those countries. Let's go, Dennis. Oh, okay. Agenda, credentials of delegates and apologies, welcome remarks by the chairperson, adoption of agenda, consideration of minutes from the previous meeting held at Southern Sun Hotel or Tambo International Airport, Johannesburg, South Africa, on 20th March 2020, ahead of the 47th Plenary Assembly session, noting of the COVID guidelines released to nation parliaments and consideration on the adoptive strategy for the forum concerning the linkage between SR, HR, and COVID-19. Commemoration of the International Safe Abortion Day 2020, presentation on the socio-economic impact of COVID-19 on the SADC region. And then we had closing remarks. Okay, adoption of the agenda. Credentials of delegates and apologies. Apologies were recorded from the National Assembly of Botswana, Namibia, Mauritius, Seychelles, and Tanzania. 8 out of the 15 member parliaments were present. Accordingly, the meeting was deemed to be proper constituted. Adoption of agenda. The draft agenda was adopted without amendments on a motion by Mozambique and seconded by Zimbabwe. Welcome remarks by the chairperson. In the welcome remarks, the chairperson, Honorable Bethan Debere, recalled the meeting of the 10th March 2020 held in Johannesburg, South Africa, where the HSDSP committee had deliberated on a number of issues, including the implementation status of the second phase of the SR-HR, HIV and AIDS governance project, which fell under the committee's oversight, amid the proposal for the development of the model law on public financial management and the recruitment of the program manager for the HSDSP and GEWARD, and the recruitment of the program manager for and GEWARD standing committees. In the same meeting, the committee had also requested to be briefed on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the SADC region, hence the inclusion of the said briefing on the agenda of this meeting. Ondebere commented on the Secretariat for securing a resource person to sensitize the committee on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which was adversely affecting not only the region, but the entire globe. To that end, the meeting was being held under the current and relevant theme, the need to adapt to COVID-19 and streamline response measures taken in the view of uplifting the SR-HR agenda for SADC member parliaments. Ondebere noted that in the line with its vision of standing as the flag bearer of democratization and socio-economic development in the SADC region, the SADC-PF had proactively developed and released COVID-19 guidelines for national parliaments to assist them to respond to the pandemic in a harmonized, rights-based manner. The HSDSP committee, as the committee directly responsible for championing human and social development issues at the forum, was thus duty bound to consider the guidelines as well as the adaptive strategies, and where necessary, provide direction in the implementation of the same, given the differential impact of COVID-19 on SR-HR in the different member states. It was thus imperative that the members of the HSDSP committee be capacitated on the impact of the pandemic and possible response strategies, as this would enable them to spearhead debate at the forum and in their national parliaments. Consideration of minutes of the previous meeting held at Southern Sun Hotel Waratambo International Airport, Johannesburg, South Africa on 10th March 2020, ahead of the 47th Plenary Assembly session. The committee considered the minutes of the previous meeting, and the following corrections were made. That on page 1, the name of one Makelepo be removed on the list of those absent with apologies. That on page 5, item 5.1, first sentence, the word including be replaced with namely. That on page 5 on the table reflecting SRHR researchers, the spelling of the name of the SRHR researcher appointed by the Parliament of Lesotho be corrected to Koaki Chaberi. That on page 6, item 5.2 be replaced to each staff member. That on page 10, item 7 on be rephrased to the Secretary General provided the link to the rephrased to each staff member. That on page 10, item 7 be rephrased to the Secretary General provided the link to the WHO website for more information. On the motion by Mozambique and seconded by Zimbabwe, the minutes of the previous meeting held on 10th March 2020 were adopted as correct record of proceedings subject to the aforementioned amendments. Matters arising from the minutes of the previous meeting held at Southern Sun Hotel Waratambo International Airport, Johannesburg, South Africa, on 10th March 2020, ahead of the 47th Plenary Assembly session. There were no matters arising from the minutes of the previous meeting. Noting of the COVID guidelines released to national parliaments and consideration of the adaptive strategy for the forum concerning the linkage between HRSR and COVID-19. The Secretary General briefed the meeting that in line with the forum's vision of being the flag bearer of democratization and socioeconomic development in the SADC region, it was imperative for member parliaments and members of the SADC-PF to keep abreast with contemporary developmental issues, including strategies to counter and adapt to the COVID-19 pandemic, which had been declared disease of international public health concern by the World Health Organization. To that end, the SADC-PF had come up with the guidelines for national parliaments to address the COVID-19 outbreak. We have an attachment, Annex 1, as a framework to buttress short and long-term interventions by national parliaments and governments in the region. The guidelines were informed by public health principles contained in model law that had been developed by the forum, including the quest for a universal health coverage, which had been the theme of the 46th Plenary Assembly held at Swakop, Namibia in December 2019, as well as international public health principles outlined by the World Health Organization, among others. The guidelines were also predicted on Parliament's role in mitigating the pandemic, including but not limited to policy making and enactment of legislation, as well as budgetary oversight. To that end, the guidelines provided pointers to members on what they should look out for in fulfilling their legislative, policy, and budgetary oversight and representative role in the fight against COVID-19 within the remit of UHC. This included embedment principles of equality, access to healthcare services, observance of human rights, protection and promotion of frontline staff, and access to SR/HR services, which had become more prominent during the pandemic. For instance, cases of teenage pregnancies, gender-based violence, intimate partner rape, and rape in general had increased, while access to healthcare services such as cervical cancer screening and access to retroviral treatment had also been seriously compromised. It was thus critical for Parliament to inquire into and deliberate to these issues, as well as ensuring that budgetary allocations over this broad spectrum of SR/HR issues, which had been heightened by the pandemic. The guidelines thus provided a user-friendly one-stop guideline in looking at this whole gamut of SR/HR related issues. The guidelines also outlined the possible adoptive strategy by national parliaments and how parliaments could streamline SR/HR issues within these response initiatives. For instance, it was highly probable that national parliaments would prioritize the enactment of COVID-19 related emergency legislation during the prevalence of the pandemic at the expense of any other legislation. It would be important, therefore, for members to ensure that SR/HR issues do not take a backseat during the pandemic, given the upturn in SR/HR indicators during the pandemic. Thus, it would be prudent for national parliaments to prioritize both SR/HR and COVID-19 related legislation, despite giving greater priority to the latter. The Secretary General stated that over and above budgetary oversight, the guidelines also provided for increased oversight. Sorry for that.
That's okay.
Okay, sorry for that. I forgot to plug my laptop on the electricity, so it was about to switch off. Sorry, me not remembered. The Secretary General stated that over and above budgetary oversight, the guidelines also provided for increased oversight on institutions and agencies of the state during the pandemic. It was just as important for national parliaments to ensure prudential allocation and use of resource during this crisis period, as it was for them to prevent arbitrary wastage of public funds. It would also be important for parliaments to demonstrate inclusively and an increased willingness to champion SRHR issues of communities and vulnerable groups during the pandemic. To this end, members of the HSDSP committee were expected to engage citizens at the community level to hear their concerns and report to the committee on the same. Members were also implored to influence their committees at the national level to adopt and implement the guidelines and again report on what they had done in this regard at the next meeting. In the ensuing deliberation, the chairperson mentioned in the ensuing deliberation, the chairperson underscored the importance of the guidelines, particularly their insistence on members keeping tabs on HRSR issues during the pandemic. Ondebele confirmed that indeed teenage pregnancies had gone up exponentially in Malawi, with the Ministry of Health confirming that the rate of teenage pregnancy had risen from 29% to 35% since March 2020. To that end, it was imperative for members of the HSDSP committee to internalize the guidelines and to the adoptive strategies and champion them in their respective national parliaments. Commemoration of the International Safe Abortion Day 2020. As part of a belated commemoration of the International Safe Abortion Day held on 20 September 2020 under the theme Telemedicine, Self-Managed Abortion and Access to Safe Abortion in the Context of COVID-19 Pandemic. The committee was treated to an illustrative video which highlighted the prevalence of unsafe abortions and their negative impacts on women and girls in the region. The video revealed that though most countries in the region were averse to registering safe abortion, 1 in every 4 pregnancies in Southern Africa ended in abortion, while complications of 74% of unsafe abortions ended in death, and the reasons for unsafe abortion varied from rape to unmet needs for contraceptives as well as poverty. However, the fatalities could be avoided if women and adolescent girls are given unrestricted access to safe abortion services and contraceptives. Instead, girls and women have had to suffer the ignominy of stigma and ostracism that often comes with unsafe abortion, let alone the trauma and lifelong internal injuries associated with the same. Unsafe abortions were also impacting negatively on the development of women and adolescent girls in the region, as the victims are often forced to drop out of school due to stigmatization and thus miss out on economic opportunities. In this regard, unsafe abortions have adverse economic consequences for girls, for government and the public health system, as the cost of having safe abortions was estimated to be less than a tenth of the cost of caring for women after abortion. Additionally, loss of income and the cost of recovery from unsafe abortions exerted a major financial burden on families, communities, and the public health system. Restrictive policies and legislation were the major stumbling block to safe abortion and unrestricted access to contraceptives. Even in the case where safe abortion is permissible, other barriers such as the distance to the healthcare service center, lack of information on safe abortion, social norms and cultural practice that perceive abortion as taboo and sinful, and stigma drove women and adolescent girls underground into unsafe abortion practices. Governments and parliaments in the SADC region thus had it within their power to stem the growing tide of unsafe abortions and save lives by 1. Enacting progressive SRHR policies and legislation that promote safe abortion and access to contraceptives. 2. Speaking out against stigma, social norms, and cultural practices that force women and adolescent girls to opt for clandestine and safe abortions. 3. Educating health service providers on ethical conduct that is non-judgmental and supportive of safe abortion. 4. Enhancing access to sexual and reproductive health information. 5. Lobbying for the implementation of comprehensive sexuality education to prevent early and unwanted pregnancies. Making abortion legal and accessible would thus improve the lives of communities by reducing maternal mortality and morbidity, keeping the girl child in school, and increasing sexual and reproductive health outcomes. Consequently, putting policies in place that expand access to safe abortion would lower healthcare costs and achieve sustainable development goals. The committee noted and acknowledged the need to promote safe abortion in the SADC region by enhancing enabling legislation and policies. The committee recognized that in the absence of enabling legislation, unsafe abortion would continue unabated, and the region would continue to lose the potential human capital resident in women and adolescent girls. Presentation on the socioeconomic impact of COVID-19 on the SADC region by Trude, Executive Director, Trade Law Center. Ms. Trude prefaced her presentation by acknowledging that the COVID-19 pandemic had affected everyone, some more closely than others, and had changed the way we live, the way we relate, and the way we do business. She asserted that the COVID-19 pandemic was a health crisis in the first instance, which had morphed into a global economic crisis and a development crisis for Africa. This had been exacerbated by Africa's vulnerability to crisis due to the continent's fragile health system, that largely informal economies, and a heavy reliance on tourism and trade, which were adversely impacted by the closure of borders. COVID-19 had thus exposed existing vulnerabilities, inequalities, and exclusion, and unearthed new ones. The pandemic had brought to the fore the need for Africa and the region to review its national, region, and continental development priorities, as well as the importance of regional integration. regional integration, regional cooperation, and collaborative regional responses in addressing the COVID-19 pandemic and any other crisis that may arise in future. It was thus important to review some of the response initiatives that countries in the region had taken with a view to galvanizing reconstruction, recovery, and building resilience. The presenter noted that from the time the first case was discovered in Egypt on 14 February 2020, African countries had stepped up their capacity to test and trace cases of infection. In that respect, African countries had proven that in a short space of time, they could develop their capacities and strengthen their healthcare systems, a positive development which Africa and the region should build on for future resilience.
Honorable Chair. Hello. Hello. Mr. Ronald. Mr. Ronald.
Hi. Hi, Dennis.
Hello.
Dennis.
Yes, the Honorable Chair has just disappeared. Any
I think
technical issue?
I think it's a technical issue on her part.
Ah, okay. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Oh. Okay. So I can proceed there. Hello, honorable members. Sorry, there's a small hiccup with the honorable chair. She's joining in shortly. Hello.
Yes, Dennis.
Yes, Madam Secretary Jeb, the honorable chair has a small hiccup. She's joining us shortly in a few seconds. Maybe at the meantime, I'll proceed reading out the minutes. The chair will join us at some point in time. Is that allowed, honorable members?
Dennis,
Yes?
I'm here.
Okay, fine. Please continue.
All right. We were on 8.3.
Yes.
All right. Sorry for that, honorable members. 8.3, in terms of national emergency response measures, the presenter noted that most countries, most countries either declared the pandemic as state of emergency or national disaster, both of which are governed by national constitutions and are subject to parliamentary oversight. These declarations were both legitimate and appropriate and allowed states to muster the resources necessary to fight the pandemic timelessly. However, it must be noted that some of the emergency measures, including national lockdowns, had a severe and lasting impact on the economic of SADC countries in terms of income and income generation and employment. An increasing number of people had lost their livelihoods, among them cross-border traders who were mostly women, tour operators, small and medium enterprises. It was thus urgent and imperative for policy makers to start factoring this into the planning process for post-COVID recovery and job creation. The presenter also reminded the committee that the rule of law is not suspended during states of emergency national disasters. It was therefore the role of Parliament to ensure that the rule of law is observed and further that the measures adopted are legitimate and appropriate within the ambit of state of emergency. The presenter highlighted that national emergency measures do not only impact on the national territory, but can go further to adversely affect neighboring countries. For instance, the closure of border has an immediate impact on neighboring countries, particularly in view of the configuration of the SADC region, which has a number of landlocked countries. This impacts on trade routes and renders access to food supplies difficult, thus making food security a major concern. Access to medical requirements and personal protective equipment was also disturbed by the closure of borders. Additionally, international agreements, among them Article 9 of the SADC Protocol on Trade, allow for exceptions during states of emergency and enable countries to place restrictions on exports while allowing imports by, for example, lowering import duty on certain goods. However, when governments entertain these measures, they recognize the impact that it will have, but the measures are adopted to protect the interests of their citizens, even if they have an impact beyond their national jurisdiction or boundaries. Thus, the pandemic also affected trading across borders. On a positive note, the COVID-19 pandemic had enhanced the use of information and communication technology. The presenter noted that some countries had begun accepting e-certificates of origin in payments, e-certificates for standards, and communicating digitally to expedite decisions and facilitate trade. The lesson to be learned was that if digital trade solutions work in the region during the time of the pandemic, then there was need to seriously consider adopting them post-COVID, as they bring significant cost and time savings and reduce the transaction cost of doing business with disproportionately impacts SMEs. However, the region must remain wary that digital trade is contingent upon network connectivity and energy security, which the region has to improve. Conversely, the coronavirus had exposed Africa and the region's vulnerability. The presenter pointed out that Africa as a continent is home to 33 of the world's 47 least developed countries. Of those 43, 14 are landlocked, which brings its own challenges, while some are also small island countries, which brings additional challenges. To this end, the budgets of the majority of nations had been stretched to the limit in attempting to mitigate the pandemic, leaving them largely dependent on external support. While this support would only worsen the national debt post-COVID-19, this would have a bearing on reconstruction and recovery efforts. It was therefore important for parliaments to closely monitor the national debt with a view to ensuring that it does not adversely affect the country's resilience in future. The presenter also flagged the strain that had been placed by the COVID-19 pandemic on diaspora remittances as one of the economic effects of the pandemic. She noted that in some countries, diaspora remittances make a significant contribution to financial inflows at the household and national level. As such, they were critical for livelihoods and access to essential services and supplies. Regrettably, the World Investment Report predicted that foreign direct investment of African countries would decline by between 25% and 40%, which is a very significant reduction, particularly in the fact that most African countries did not generate enough savings to translate into domestic investment. National parliaments were therefore duty-bound to initiate dialogue and find solutions to the heavy dependence on diaspora remittances going forward. The presenter noted that generally the statistics appeared to show that there was a greater infection rate among men than women in the SADC region. There was an unfortunate dearth of statistics in relation to how the pandemic was impacting on women and girls at the household and national level. It was imperative, therefore, for solid evidence-based research to be carried out to determine the economic and social impact of the pandemic on women and girls at the household and community level. The pandemic had also resulted in a significant reduction in commodity prices on the international market due to a decline in demand resulting from the closure of borders and national lockdowns. For instance, the price of oil had gone down, leading to concomitant reduction in the price of fuel in some countries. Additionally, the pandemic had also culminated in an inevitable shrinking of the tourism sector and related downstream sectors by 3.3%. The region's recovery was thus inextricably tied to the recovery of the global economy. True to the maxim that says necessity is the mother of invention, the pandemic had also exposed the ingenuity of business people and young people in the region. UNICEF had launched a COVID-19 design innovation challenge, and youths from the length and breadth of the continent had responded positively with new products and new digital solutions. A case in point was the 23-year-old Malawian national who had developed an offline mobile learning application. The majority innovations were digital innovations which would put the region at competitive advantage on the global market post-COVID. The presenter commended regional economic communities and the SADC-PF issuing guidelines and recommendations to assist SADC countries in the fight against the pandemic. She noted that the guidelines developed by the SADC-PF, which called for cooperation among member states, had been proactively issued in April, shortly after the outbreak of the pandemic, which demonstrated the forum's responsiveness to issues affecting the region. However, she noted with dismay that whilst the guidelines provided a comprehensive reference point for adoptive strategies, the major drawback was that they were not binding on member states and thus could not be enforced. She called upon the committee to find ways to ensuring that the guidelines are implemented. In the view of the foregoing impact of the pandemic, the presenter made the following recommendations. She called on Africa and the region
Honorable Chair. Hello. Mr. Ronan.
Hi, Dennis. She's off again.
Yeah, she's off again.
You can continue. I think you can read out the minutes.
Hello, Dennis.
Hello.
Proceed with the minutes while we wait for the chair to reconnect.
Okay, fine. Honorable members, I think the Honorable Chair had left on item 8.12. In view of the foregoing impact of the pandemic, the presenter made the following recommendations. She called on Africa and the region to focus on enhancing its productive capacity by harnessing the intellect of students at universities and tertiary institutions to repurpose the region's productive capacity. She stressed the need for consultation, cooperation, and coordinated regional response in customs and border management, harmonization of tariffs, and trade facilitation, among other issues. She implored on policymakers in the region to initiate discussions on post-COVID recovery, reconstruction, and resilience. The discussions ought to center on diversification and developing productive capacity, food security in terms of linking agriculture to industrial development, trade facilitation, development of the services sector, that is healthcare, education, transport, communications, including digital healthcare solutions, which remained untapped, and enhancing government capacity to respond to manage crises. In the ensuing deliberation, the chairperson expresses the committee's appreciation to Ms. Trude for informative, eye-opening presentation. The chairperson considered that indeed COVID-19 pandemic had thrown the spotlight on the need for SADC countries to work together in fighting the pandemic, following the realization that what affected one country was likely to affect its neighbors. To that end, the committee undertook to use the presentation as an informative baseline in lobbying for the implementation of the guidelines. Item 9.0, concluding remarks. In her concluding remarks, the chairperson thanked the Secretariat for laying the groundwork for a successful meeting. She also reiterated the committee's appreciation to Ms. Yesenbach for taking her time off her busy schedule to deliver an enriching and mutually edifying presentation. She averred that the information May had given would allow the committee members to make evidence-based interventions during deliberation in their national parliaments and at the forum. Item 10.0, any other business. There being no further business to transact, the meeting adjourned at 12:15 hours. This was the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting. At this point in time, honorable members, we may proceed into matters arising. I will again flag each and every page, and the members will proceed into highlighting what, in terms of the matters arising. Maybe before we go to that, we, having read the minutes, the members, the committee may wish to proceed on the adoption process. One member may wish to propose for adoption, and then the other may wish to second. Honorable members.
Yes. Good morning. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yes, honorable.
Hello. Yes. Good morning. I propose for the adoption of the minutes from Honorable Bistoke Seychelles. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ross. Any seconder?
Eu sou Luísa Damião, da Angola, e apoio a...
Luísa Damião from Angola, and I do support the proposal of adoption. So Angola seconds.
This means that the minutes of the committee for the previous meeting have been adopted.
Point of order, Dennis. So
Yes.
if the chair is not yet back, you will have to have the vice chairperson or a member of the committee to proceed to preside over the proceedings. So could you facilitate the committee to do that?
Okay.
Sure.
From that guidance, it appears the honorable vice chairperson is not also around.
So one of the members of the committee can chair.
Yes.
Just need the committee to nominate someone, and they will be
Okay.
able to chair while we wait for the chairperson.
Okay. At this point in time, any member who the honorable chairperson has technical hitches and the honorable vice chairperson is not around, the committee may proceed nominating a member to preside over the proceedings. Maybe the honorable member from Seychelles, you may take up the floor.
Hello.
Hello, honorable, also you can take up the floor.
Please, probably since I'm new into this domain, probably it will best to have somebody else who was there. I mean, prior to 2021, a much elder person.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chairperson, but Dennis, if we may guide the members to say, prior to 2021, some of the members, majority of the members are also equally new. So just to put the members at rest, that the chairing is not a difficult task. But that having been said, I see Eswatini, I see Lesotho, they are in the meeting. Could we get assistance for us to be able to move with the meeting? We need a nomination of a member to chair the meeting. The committee clerk will guide the chair. So it's not a difficult task.
Exactly. With that guidance, Lesotho maybe can help us. Honorable Potts from Lesotho, are you in?
Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, Honorable.
Honorable Mosito from Lesotho.
Yes, you can take the floor too.
Yes, I can, but I have problem of network is not good enough.
Okay.
You get my point, sir?
Yes, yeah. It's quite in order.
Yeah, so sometimes I didn't hear you, so I don't think it can be good to chair the committee.
Sheshels, still coming back to you.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello?
Good
Morning.
Can you hear me?
Been waiting since
Yes.
8 o'clock.
Okay, so okay,
There are
I'll
multiple
I've been waiting
microphones
since
on.
8
Please
o'clock.
rectify.
No, I am.
There are multiple microphones on. Please rectify.
The floor.
okay, I will take the floor. I will try my level best, but I will need your help definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, you can proceed.
Can proceed anyway. We've adopted the program, and can we move on to the next item on our agenda, which is a presentation on the progress, like the implementation of. Yes.
Honorable, the next item is matters arising.
Oh, okay. Can you put it on the because probably I have the wrong minutes. Can you flag it, please?
Yes, we'll go by page, and then.
All right, that would be great.
Members might wish to flag out the issues, especially those who were present.
All right,
the
good
meeting.
Yeah, just flag the matters arising. Are we on the same page?
Yeah, we're on page 2.
Okay, now we are on page 2. Well, we've sort of, I'm going back to the minutes. No, we've adopted the minutes already. Yes.
Chair, a bit of procedural guidance.
Yes.
Firstly, shall we proceed item by item, because the minutes could be in different pages in the different languages. Secondly, we are considering matters arising from the minutes. That's why we are going back to the minutes. If there are any matters arising, so if you go section by section, everyone will be able to follow and raise any matters arising from the minutes. Thank you,
From
Chair.
the minutes.
Sure.
Thank you. Well, we are on page 2, that is number 3. The welcoming remarks. I think we can sort of move ahead with that one, right?
Sure.
Are we following? Yeah, can we go to the next item? That is 4, number 4, consideration of minutes of previous meetings held. And I think the corrections have been done. The minutes that was held on the 10th of March. I think we can move ahead, right? Number 5, matters arising from the minutes. Number 6, noting of COVID-19 guidelines, which we sort of went through with the chair. 6.1, it was discussed, well, it's in the minutes, and the way forward were discussed as well. 6.2, guidelines were predicted on parliamentarians, and I presume we can move ahead with that, except if we have any corrections or any other points that we would like to raise. Or else we go to 6.3, guidelines that outline the possible adoptive strategies for national parliamentarians on SRHR issues. If there's no correction, we can still move ahead to 6.4. The SG stated over the above budgetary oversight, considering the budget increase in regards to SRHR championing as well. I think we can move ahead to 6.5 if there's any corrections. Again, we had some data, evidence in regards to the teenage pregnancies. Right, we move to 7.0, commemoration of the International Safe Abortion Day. Any issues or any corrections to be done? And I presumed it was deliberated upon. We move to 7.2 in regards to the same issue. No corrections? Any corrections to be done? No, if not yet, we move to 7.3, which are the policies and the legislations in regards to the barriers, which were described from 1.2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Any corrections to be done? If not, we move to 7.4 in regards to accessibility of sexual reproductive health services. Any corrections? 7.5, the committee noted the acknowledgement of to promote safe abortion in regards to the same issue. If not, we move to 8.0, presentation on socioeconomic impact of COVID-19 on SADC region. Any corrections to be done? If not, we move to 8.2 in regards to testing capacities into the region. No corrections. We move to 8.3 to emergency response measures that were discussed into the meetings. If no corrections, then we move to 8.4 about the rule of law and in cases of emergencies and all the accessibilities of different supplies, PPEs, and so on and so forth. There's no correction. We move to 8.5. 8.5, the COVID-19 pandemic, which has enhanced or promotes accessibility to communication technology. No corrections. We move to 8.6, which pointed out the issue on the continents in regards to COVID-19. We move to 8.7 if there's no correction on 8.6. All right, the critical issues of the livelihoods. If there's no correction, we move to 8.8. Again, about the issues, the impacts of COVID-19 on the women and girls. If there's no correction, we move to 8.9. Again, the shrinking of the economy. We move to 8.10. Okay, necessity, the woman invention. If there's no correction, we move to 8.11. That was a recommendation of the REX. If there's no correction, we move to 8.12 on the various issues that were raised on COVID-19, the resilience as well. 8.13, well, that's the express of the chairpersons in regards to COVID-19 spotlight and to other countries to fight against the epidemic. And 9.0, the concluding remarks by the chairperson. Can go ahead with that one. And then AAOBs, any other business? 10, right? Are there any issues to be raised in regards to the last minutes? Any corrections to be done? Members, honorable members? If not, I will move for the second adoption, confirmation of the last minutes meeting. Dennis, am I on the right track? Hello?
Yes, Honorable.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we have, the minutes have been already adopted.
Adopted, but not confirmed, yes.
It appears no matters arising and the meeting can be confirmed.
Can be confirmed, yeah, confirmed. Yeah. Honorable members, we do confirm the minutes of the last meetings.
Yes, confirmed.
Okay. Thank you. Can we move on to the next item? Dennis, can you hear me? Please, I need your guidance.
Yes, the next item is the committee has to note the work plan, which was actually prepared.
Yeah, you have the agenda, the program of today. I think I may have it.
Let me flag out the work plan for the committee to go through.
Yes.
Hello, Dennis.
Hello. Dennis, are you there? Hi, Dennis.
Chair, are we going to see what's happening? We'll be with you just now.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay, now we have the work plan. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Chair, we're still trying to check with Dennis.
All right.
Dennis is
Yes.
joining us now, Chair.
Okay. Hi, Dennis. Hi, Dennis. Hello. So,
I see Dennis is muted.
oh,
Okay.
it's okay now.
No, you muted again. Hi, Dennis. IT, could you assist?
Chris, I've sent the request. Okay, he's unmuted now.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, Dennis.
Yes.
Go ahead. The chair is waiting.
Okay. Honorable members, I just want to present you quickly in terms of the work plan which was formulated for you to note. And
Yes.
in terms of for those members who have just actually joined the committee, in terms of the mandate of the committees, actually from the strategic plan, the forum has a strategic plan from 2019 to 2023. There is also a constitution. We also have the rules of procedure and the plenary resolutions as well as the committee resolution. So briefly, the committee draws its mandate from the following sources. In terms of the program, in terms of the goal of the committees, to mainly the committee deals with issues of human and social development pertaining to health. Hello?
Yes, yes, I'm hearing. Yes, I'm listening. Hello?
Yes, yes. In terms of the program goal, it's looking at issues of HIV/AIDS, human resources development, education, professional training, employment, science and technology. So basically the committee, these are the areas of, in terms of the program goal.
Okay.
In terms of the strategic focus, the committee mainly deals with issues of human and social development, as well as special programs. If you go to the objectives, basically the objective of the committee is to enhance the role of the forum in the fight against SRH infringements, HIV/AIDS, and protection of key populations through parliamentary perspective. And two activities were actually lined up under this strategic objective to hold a dialogue meeting on key issues pertaining to vulnerable groups, and also to dialogue on emerging issues pertaining to human trafficking in the light of COVID pandemic.
All right.
If we go to strategic objective 2,
Number 2,
which is to enhance cross-training initiatives for HSDSP committee and other standing committees and partners of the forum. In terms of activities, we lined up an activity to do with a joint session in collaboration or in conjunction with other committees of the forum.
Dennis, the timeline for this strategic objectives. Okay. The timeline. Strategic objective number 2. That was done last year, wasn't it?
Strategic, in terms of the timelines, there'll be a number of activities planned under this objective. And in terms of, actually, there's no specific timeline. It would actually be indicated in due course.
What does T means?
To be advised.
It's to be advised. All right. So to be advised. Thank you. We move ahead.
The other activity under these strategic objectives to order training in conjunction with partners on data capturing. Your committee, honorable members, actually has a mandate to oversee the project on SRHR and HIV/AIDS governance. And we have researchers who are placed in various national parliaments who have actually to be capacitated on issues of data capturing. We are planning to hold a kind of a training in order to capacitate the researchers. For strategic objective number 3 is to enhance the role in the implementation of a forum special program project that fall under the human special programs. Under this strategic projective, the committee will endeavor to hold meetings as well as to follow-up meetings to check up on the implementation of regional commitments and resolutions like CSE, the SADC model law on public finance management. Honorable members, in terms of monitoring, among others, this will be checked through electronic surveys, comments from other parliaments, and also feedback from through email. So, honorable members, this is briefly in terms of the work plan. In terms of the project, later on during the day, we'll also present to you a snapshot in terms of implementation of the project. So briefly, this is the work plan for the committee. You may wish to have some comments and later on note the work plan.
Okay.
Thank you, honorable members.
Thank you, Dennis. Can we move now to the plenary session for the discussion on the plan, on the implementation of the HIV/AIDS and governance project plan? We open the floor for all members to if they have any views or comments or any other issues to bring forward. Honorable members.
Chair, maybe before honorable members come in, if I could supplement.
Yes.
Just to indicate that this plan is an annual plan. So it is for January to December. And Dennis will proceed to put the dates of each of the activities under the various objectives and circulate to the members. The dates need to be known by the members of having the plan so that honorable members are able to plan
Yeah.
So Dennis will proceed to finalize the dates
Okay.
and circulate with the members
Thank you very much.
so that you are able to plan.
Yes. So Dennis, one task ahead, you can sort of like honorable members just mentioned, you can sort of go back and ensure that the timeline are indicated and then for circulation to all members.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other issues? Because now we are in plenary.
Honorable Chair, just to indicate that I'm Kurasha from the Secretariat. I'm not an honorable member.
Oh, okay. So
I'm not yet an honorable.
my apology, but probably soon you will be. Don't worry.
Thank you.
The time will come. Be patient. All right. So Karasha, so Dennis can be informed on the what we discussed. Okay. Any other issues that would like to bring forward, honorable members? Honorable members? Dennis.
Hello, Honorable. I think
we can adopt the plan, but it has to be amended with the time frame.
Yes.
So, honorable members, can we adopt the plan, the strategic plan, well, with the logical framework, but it has to be amended to ensure that all the time frames are inclusive and then circulated to all members. Anybody would like to sort of well, not second, but at least to raise a point of order so that we can adopt the plan of 2021, work plan for 2021. Honorable members, are we still on air? Hello?
Hello, Honorable Chair.
Yes.
I'm Sito from Lesotho. I so move that the plan be adopted by the committee.
Thank you very much. Any secondments? Any secondments from other honorable members?
Yes, seconded.
Seconded. Thank you so much. So now can we move to, the plan has been adopted, but it has to be amended as we discussed. Can we move to the next item, which is the any other business? Any other business, honorable members?
Honorable Chair.
Yes, Dennis.
We are on
where?
We have considered the plan, and we need to have maybe a break. From there, we will proceed to have a brief presentation of the project, and then we proceed to the wrap-up session. Maybe we can have a 20 minutes break, and then we come back to wrap up.
Thank you very much. So, honorable members, can we have a break? Or and then we come back to wrap up. Probably that by that time the chair will be back. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dennis, for your guidance.
So
thank
we
you,
come
the
at 12.
Secretariat.
At
we come
12
at
exactly.
12. Guide me, 12. All right, 20 minutes break. Thank you very much. So we'll break for now, and then we'll resume at 12. Honorable members, thank you very much. Thank you, the Secretariat.
Hello.
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 Welcome back, honorable members.
Thank you.
Bonjour, Madame le Secrétaire Général.
Bonjour, Monsieur Président. Comment ça
Hello,
va?
Madam Secretary General. Yes, I'm good. I'm very, very sorry for not having been there since the beginning. I was held up with a meeting. So I'm really, really apologize for my late coming today.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that you came. Thank you for that, Honorable President.
Crois-moi que je ne serai pas en retard pour le 27 et 28.
Believe me, I will not be late on the 27th and 28th. I will be on time. I can assure it.
Thank you very much. Please read those documents page for page, paragraph for paragraph. We need your input.
Ok, t'inquiète pas. On va travailler ensemble.
We will work. Don't worry. We will have a successful meeting.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice President.
Merci, Madame le Secrétaire Général.
Thank you, Madam Secretary General.
Merci.
Some of us in pressure. Honorable members, hello. Hello.
Hello. We are back.
I hope each and everyone is back from the break.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we can proceed to the other agenda item. Honorable members, Madam SG.
Thank you.
I'll present to you a brief snapshot of the HIVS and governance project. This is a project being implemented by the forum. The forum has been implementing this project for the past 5 or 6 years, and now it has progressed into this second phase from 2019 to 2022. And as I indicated earlier on during the time the committee was considering its minutes, you have actually the mandate, the committee has a mandate to oversee and provide leadership in terms of implementation of this particular project. So just briefly, just to refresh the members in terms of the vision, the goal and objectives of the project. Basically, the vision of the project is to achieve universal access to integrated SRHR and HIV/AIDS services and related rights, including bringing forward social change, improved health, and respect for human rights that are enjoyed by all in the SADC region. Following this broader vision of the project, the goal is to work towards the achievement of this universal access to integrated SRHR and HIV/AIDS services and related rights through parliamentary action via the legislative oversight, budgetary and representative roles of MPs. Basically, there are 5 specific objectives that the project would like to attain by the end of the day. Number 1, objectives that SADC-PF should successfully lead national parliaments, SADC parliaments, in promoting SRHR through parliamentary initiatives that are evidence-based and informed through empirical data. Also that parliaments promote SRHR by reinforcing the legislative framework of member states through enactment of targeted SRH registration on HGBV, safe abortion, EUP, SRH commodity security, non-discrimination and rights of key populations, amongst others, in view of promoting universal effect coverage. Parliaments progressively increase budget allocations for universal SRH and HIV/AIDS related services and commodities which are provided by the government and promote sustainable financing for health and SRH. And parliaments augment oversight initiatives on SRH and HIV/AIDS governance implemented by government through committee oversight mechanisms, including in relation to SGP programs that are inclusive both men and women on mainstreaming SRH into government policies. And the project also looks at democratically elected representatives, increasing SRH concerns of communities and constituencies within parliament and champion HR issues in view of reducing discrimination and stigmatization of people living with HIV/AIDS and key populations and marginalized groups. And finally, the project also looks at heightening or enhancing SRH concerns through interparliamentary network, which are coordinated by the forum in view of approaching SRH and addressing HR appeals, including model laws. So briefly, that's in terms of the scope for the goals and objectives of the project. In terms of the actual implementation, the national parliaments actually engaged or placed researchers who are actually directly involved in the implementation processes at national level in the respective national parliaments of the forum. Just a quick overview for the period January and February. There are quite a number of success stories which have actually been registered in terms of implementation, but suffice to say that these are actually unique and actually varies according to each national parliament. And also to mention that the outbreak of COVID-19 has brought in quite a number of challenges that have directly affected implementation of the project in the national parliaments. Of course, measures have been taken for mitigation purposes as a way of striving to attain the set targets amidst the challenges which are actually being encountered due to the outbreak of COVID-19. As of January 2021, national permits, most of the national permits were actually at a break due to the lockdowns and other issues. Despite that, some managed actually to meet with UNESCO representative for deliberation at UNESCO SADC-PF support, which aimed at promoting awareness and acceptance of CSCs in SADC region, as well as ensuring or securing the ESA commitment beyond the year 2021. In February, national parliaments actually managed to review their work plans and implemented most of their activities throughout March 2021. Consequently, currently national parliaments are busy compiling their country-level annual reports. With this overview, I would like to mention that we're in the process of formulating a detailed work plan for the project for the year 3. And I think probably in May, we should be in a position to have a comprehensive report for the project, which will actually be presented to the committee. At this point in time, let me call upon Mr. Raj, the accountant for the project, to give a snapshot of, in terms of year 3, in terms of the activities which have actually been lined up. Maybe before I do that, maybe Madam Secretary General, as you are the father and founder of this project, maybe you may wish to have 1 or 2 remarks on the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. I believe that Mr. Kubla will sufficiently do the presentation. Thank you, and look forward to the presentation. Mr. Kubla, I think we cannot hear you. I see you're speaking, but we cannot hear you. Or can you hear him, Mr. Gondre?
No, I can't get him. Maybe there's a technical hiccup.
Maybe.
Mr. Ronald?
Morning, Raj. Raj, can you choose English or? You call him directly.
Is everything okay?
SG, I'm trying to sort out.
Mr. Kublal.
Yeah, I'm calling him on the WhatsApp. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Mr. Gonde, if there are any questions based on what you have delivered. I don't know if the chairperson could allow while Mr. Kublal is being assisted with a technical problem.
Madam SG and honorable members, if there are any questions or comments on what has been presented, I can take it up. Thank you.
Can you speak? Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Raj?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, okay. Sorry for that technical problem. Okay. I will try to share the screen with a document. Okay. I hope you are able to see the document that I have prepared. Can I go on? Okay. Hello,
yes,
can you hear me?
Proceed. Yes, we can hear you. You may proceed.
Okay.
Just increase the image. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me just try to increase it. Okay, it's fine, I think. So good morning, or good afternoon rather, honorable members and dear colleague. My name is Raj Kublal. I am the project accountant of the SRHR project. And today I will be talking about the financial aspect of the SRHR project, but I will focus more on 2020-21, that is year 2 for us, and then also a bit on 2021-2022, which is year 3 for the SRHR project. So the SRHR project, as you may be knowing, it is a project financed by the Sweden through the agency which we call it SIDA, and then implemented by SADC Parliamentary Forum through the various national parliament. In fact, we have right now 11 implementing countries. Instead of listing the countries, I can list those that is not implementing. We have Mauritius for the time being, Madagascar, South Africa, and Tanzania. They are not implementing the project for the time being. The project itself, the project value is of $3 million US. It's about that figure because the agreement is in Swedish krona for 30 million Swedish krona. So it's always depend on the bank exchange, but roughly it will come to $3 million. And then it is roughly divided into 3 years, that is $1 million US per year. The project year is as follows. So we have year 1, which started in July 2019, and it ends in March, 31st March 2020. Why 31st March 2020? Because it is the financial year for the forum. So we have tallied it with the financial year of the forum. So it comes to 9 months, the first year. The second year starts in April 2020. It goes to March 2021, which is 12 months. And the third year, it will start in April 2021, and it will go up to June 2022, that in 15 months. So that will make up the 3 year for the project. I'm just trying to move the, so the account of the SRHR project are audited by our external auditor. For the time being, BDO Namibia, that is Chartered Accountant, they are our auditor. Our auditors are appointed by the plenary assembly on an annual basis. We normally change auditor after 5 years. It can be even earlier. It did happen in the past, but they go a maximum of 5 years because we promote what we call rotation of auditors. We don't want to stay with one auditor for more than 5 years. But in the case of SOHL, in addition to our own auditor, they do send their auditors also from time to time, especially to look at the governance side and internal control. Just in the recent past, it was KPMG from Zambia who came to check our compliance to good governance and internal control. In terms of spending, the first year we spent 537,754, which was about 54%. This was reasonable at that time because it was a year which we had only 9 months, and it was a year where we were recruiting our researchers in the various national countries, and it do take time. So normally the first year, the level of spending, what we call as burn rate, is low. However, the second year should have been much higher. Unfortunately, we do have certain difficulty, which I have mentioned in the paper. So difficulties during the year 2, as we have been discussing this morning, the COVID-19 pandemic has badly affected the implementation of the project during the financial year 2020-2021, resulting that we had very few physical meetings at national level. On one side, we had the lockdown, and also when there was no lockdown, there was limitation on the number of participants that could gather for an activity. So we could not do so many activities that we would have desired to. Second, there was no regional meeting because the budget provides for several regional meetings. We could not do it because of flight restriction. However, we did this meeting through virtual means like Zoom. We have achieved our objective, but in terms of costs, we have a lot of saving under these budget line where it relates to regional meeting. Thirdly, we had no attendance to international parliamentary meeting. For example, the IPU, there was no attendance to that meeting. The end result of these was that we had a low fund utilization. As you see above, we said around 50%, which is very, very less than what is expected normally in a year 2 project running. But at the same time, this situation, exceptional situation, also gave us certain opportunity. We, for the SADC-PF SOHL program, we moved very quickly to Zoom and micro-theme meeting. In fact, we are doing more meeting that was in the initial plan because it is a very easy, acceptable, achievable, and also cheaper means of doing meeting. We also provided laptops and cell phone to all our researchers. In fact, this was an item that was not in our original budget, but given the situation, we managed to convince our donor that these are tools that is very necessary given the situation we are in. We also provide data allowance to our researchers, and it has greatly improved the communication among our team. We also now have seconded staff to support the secretariat. This is something very, very good now that we have many staff from different parliaments that is supporting the secretariat. But given that we have all this facility, there are certain challenges. I tried to mention only one challenge here, The other we are still discussing at the level of secretariat and researcher. But one where I seek honorable member, it will be quite of an interest to honorable members and national parliament. In order to facilitate implementation of SRHR project, we will need to improve our method of payment. Very long ago, not very, but a few years ago, we had to physically carry money in foreign currency, go in the country to pay for the expense, to pay for the allowances. We have adopted from nearly 3 years now, a cashless system, which means that we don't carry cash money. We do all the expense we pay through direct bank transfer, which is good, easy, cheaper, and it avoids complicated problems. However, the problem is that to pay MPs and participants who is participating in a national meeting, it becomes very difficult for us at Window to send payment to each participant in their individual bank account. One, it takes a long time to reach them. And second, there is bank charges both on the sender and also on the receiver, which creates certain problem. So what we have proposed is that if national parliament could give us a bank account of the national parliament to which we can transfer the money in advance so that the researcher and parliament staff, helped by the parliament staff, can make the payment directly to the participant and also pay for the various expenditures directly. So we send the total money to them, to the parliament. The staff withdraw the money and pay it directly to the MPs. Some countries have provided account and it's working fine for them. Other parliament have certain difficulty because sometimes they do have what we call the consolidated fund. Once money go in, to remove the money, it becomes quite difficult. But at MP level, this is something that we need to check with our parliament and see how far this proposal is feasible. If so, it will help us to do national activity more efficiently. Coming to the year 3 project, we are actually working on the budget for the year 3. We do have an original budget for year 3, which is around 1 million. But given the situation has changed as we spoke about the COVID pandemic, we need to be more creative and see what is feasible and how we can still continue implementing projects despite the difficulty that each of us is facing in the different SADC countries. So what we have done year 3, we are still planning to spend this time even more, 1.2 million in year 3. One of the reasons why it is more than 1 million compared to the other years, because this is a year where we have 15 months instead of 12 months, because it will go up to 30th June instead of 31st March. So we have more time. We expect we will be able to spend more money. We will need to continue our work with the national working group, because this is a small group. Normally the meeting is held at the parliament. So we'll need to continue the activities because these are the key stakeholders that help us to do even bigger activity in the country. So we need to continue with national working group meeting. We need to continue with the capacity development session. It's normally for MPs, parliament staff, and other stakeholders. So these activities should continue. And we have budget allocated for this. So researchers should be able to continue with this activity. We are going something new. We are going ahead with a new model law. This will be a model law on public finance. Most of the recruitment process has nearly been completed, and in weeks or months maximum, we'll be able to start with the new model law. This is something that should be completed well before the end of the financial year or end of the project. On the other hand, we will continue with the e-communication that we have started last year, trying to automate and use communication, e-communication more efficiently. So we'll continue with the e-communication. We will also have a corporate governance executive that will help us to support the Secretariat, especially to improve the governance aspect of our organization, so which is much welcome. And lastly, there is something that I have mentioned in several meetings, but I'll put it again, that in our budget for SRHR, we have a special budget for the recruitment of a legal expert at national level to assist members to better understand bills normally that are related to SRHR, but even those bills that is a bit related, we can consider it. This is at parliament level. I explain it in a different way, is that if you have a new bill in your parliament and members want to get some expert advice from lawyers or legal drafters, they can use this budget line to recruit those legal experts that will help them to better understand that is the bill at their national level. So it will be a national bill and it is a lawyer from their particular country because they were the one who will better know the context of the law in that particular country. Surprisingly, this is a budget that have not been used in year 1, year 2. This is something that we can consider it in year 3, and we can see if some countries can use this budget. We are very open to it. If there is any doubt, they can contact myself, the Secretary General, or we have a policy and legal analyst who can better explain and see how it can be achieved. To conclude, I would say that we need to be very optimistic. We hope that this coming financial year, that is the 2021-2022, which is the year 3 and the final year of the project, will be much better than the year 2. With the vaccination program in the region, I think most of the countries have now embarked in the vaccination program. We will be able to have some physical meeting in the second half of the financial year. In fact, the budget for the year 3 has been made up or built on this assumption that although we are having virtual meeting, which is going on, we may have certain physical meeting in the second half of the year. So with this, Chair, I will end, and our question will be most welcome. Thank you, Chair.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, well, maybe mine, should I start by saying good afternoon, honorable MPs and the other members. Mine is a clarity-seeking point. Under opportunities in your presentation, I have two, in fact, I have two issues. You spoke about secondment of staff to support Secretariat. And you also spoke under fund transfers and others. You also spoke about having a corporate governance executive to support the Secretariat. Is this the same thing, or these are two different structures? Are they supporting the same secretariat? Maybe if you can elaborate a little bit on that one, I don't understand it.
Yeah. Thank you, Honorable Member. In fact, it is supporting the same secretariat. So it is SADC-PF at Windhoek, but also the project that is spread all over the different region. So it is the same secretariat, but it is two different set of staff. One, we have the seconded staff. Normally, these are staff from different parliament in SADC that has been seconded to the SADC-PF. So they are here from different parliament to help us in our administrative and management of the secretariat in Windhoek. Over and above that one, we have recruited a corporate executive officer under the SRHR project because we had a budget for that position for 2 years. So that person will be recruited. Again, it's recruited from the SADC countries. It's a competitive recruitment. So it's recruited. So he or she will work for the same secretariat. It's mainly to improve our governance aspect and compliance side of it, because it was something raised during an organization assessment that was done by Sweden, by KPMG Zambia. So one of their recommendations was about the compliance to good governance and also risk management. Also, I forgot to tell on that one of the opportunities is that we have done a lot of work on risk management. So the new officer on corporate governance executive will help us on compliance and on risk management. Thank you.
If I may assist that
Madame
clarification, Raj. Yes.
Oui, Madagascar veut parler.
If I may sit to clarify, Chair, is the chairperson there?
He's being represented by Honorable Lossi.
Oh, okay.
The chair is still out of the meeting.
Okay, if I may just clarify, the reason why the issue of the corporate governance and that of the secondary staff is being reported in this particular context. Let's just to assist in simplifying, the gentleman called Dennis Gondwe, who is speaking currently, who has been the committee clerk, is one such staff member who has been seconded from Malawi Parliament, sitting in Malawi to assist this committee. As you're well aware, this was a resolution taken by the Executive Committee and Plenary to assist the SADC Parliamentary Forum to deal with its human resource gap, as opposed to employing full-time staff to then have secondary staff to assist the SADC Parliamentary Forum. So he is assisting in this committee. As you are aware, members, I could not continue with the committee in the current circumstances. His secondment is being funded by the SADC Parliamentary Forum. The issue of the corporate governance executive is also an additional staff where we had not utilized certain amounts of resources in year one. We then requested for a variation from Sweden to allow us to get this officer who will assist us to deal with some of the gaps related to governance and findings for the organizational development assessment, among others. So that is the context. This officer is initially being funded for 2 years from the project from Sweden, and thereafter will be absorbed into the forum core budget and structures. I hope this clarifies the matter, Honorable.
Madame Secrétaire Générale, je voulais parler.
I wanted to give my input. It's from Madagascar.
Thank you, Honorable Vice President. I'm not sure if I'm chairing now. There's too much silence. Go ahead, Honorable Vice President.
Merci, Madame.
Thank you, Madam Secretary General, honorable colleagues. Greetings to everyone. And from the report that we have just followed with Mr. Koblal, Madagascar is among the country that hasn't taken part in the project. I think that we will catch up in the future. How to really make Madagascar really be able to participate in the project? We would like to know. Where is the stumbling block as far as Madagascar is concerned, considering the reality with the COVID-19? We have to work in this field. We have to participate actively in this project. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Vice President. The Director of Finance, of Human Resources and Finance is on the call. May she kindly respond to the issue raised by Madagascar. Mrs. Mungandi.
Yes, SG.
Kindly respond to the issue raised by the Vice President.
Apologies, I did not get the issue, if it may be repeated.
The Vice President would like to know how Madagascar can put forward their interest to participate in the project, a staff member or participate in the project.
Madagascar would have to make a request through the Office of the Secretary General in writing, and then we'll take it up from there.
Maybe just to add to that what has been said, we had indicated to the clerk of Madagascar, in fact, in a committee meeting previously, the invitation was extended to all countries, including Madagascar. At that time, Madagascar had indicated that they were not ready. And at this point, on year 3, if Madagascar would like to join, they'll have to write to the SADC Parliamentary Forum, requests for the sample contract and the qualifications required for the researcher. You will note that other parliaments have recruited a committee clerk from within the parliament who was doing similar work or who they feel is competent. In other parliaments, they recruited a staff member from outside parliament to fill the gap. But given the paucity of time and the fact that we're already in year 3 of the project, Madagascar would have to weigh its options in terms of how soon and quick they could give us the staff member, or they could recruit from outside or assign a staff within the parliament who's able to join the project. What then happens, I think I'll hand over to Mr. Kublal to basically indicate how the staff member will be supported financially, or the parliament will be supported financially to then begin to assist the parliament on the options available to them.
Thank you. Can I come in?
Go ahead.
Yeah, in fact, when we prepared our original budget, we had already provided for all the SADC countries Unfortunately, some countries were not able to join for one reason or another. So how do we support the country in terms of implementing the project? It is first, we have a budget for the payment of the salary of the researcher. So if Madagascar is coming in the project, they will need to recruit a researcher at the national level. And it is us who will be paying the monthly fees up to the end of the project. Unfortunately, it's only year 3 now. However, year 3 is still 15 months. So once it's recruited, we will be able to pay for all the 15 months the salary. It is a salary in US dollar. So we pay it every month. In addition, we do provide data allowance, as I was saying earlier, for the researcher to be able to communicate with us on a regular basis. Once this recruitment is done, we always have facilities where we train them, even through virtual meeting. We'll be able to train that researcher about the activity, the budget, and how we proceed with it to achieve our objectives that we have set for each and every countries. So we are here to help, and we do have the fund, and it will be most welcome if countries can contribute to the project. Thank you.
Is that helpful, Honorable Vice President? We'll be happy to welcome Madagascar on board. Thank you. So anytime Madagascar is ready, they should just write and inform us of the name of the officer. Thank you. In the meantime, after this meeting, Raj, could you kindly sign the sample, send the sample contract in French?
Yeah.
And any other related documentation to facilitate the office of the clerk.
If Chair, if we don't have any other question, can I conclude?
I don't think there's a chair. Dennis?
Madam SG?
Are we alone? Is it just staff here?
No, we have Honorable Rossi who was nominated to stand in for the chairperson. She's the one directing.
Honorable Rosie?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't see her online.
She should be in.
Madame le secrétaire général,
I see Honorable Rosie.
sur la situation de
Mr.
Madagascar.
Honorable Rosie?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. We are worried that the staff have cooed the members from a committee proceeding. Kindly take over the proceedings.
Yeah, but it looks as if the Vice President is back.
The Vice President is raising a hand to request for the floor.
Oh, okay. So please do guide me.
Questions, and after the questions, or as the questions come, you could direct them to the Secretariat. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, Madagascar has, the hands are up. Madagascar?
Oui. Merci,
Yes,
Madame.
thank you, Madam Rosie, for giving me the floor again. Thank you so much, and we will take the necessary actions, and I think that we will really make an effort to catch up, and from the next week onward, we will send our applications to your office to really show our willingness to collaborate and work on this project. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madagascar. I can see Louisa. Louisa's hand is up. Louisa? Luisa, the floor is yours. Oh, Honorable Luisa.
Muito obrigada. Muito obrigada, senhora presidente desta.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, honorable members and to our General Secretary. I'm not going to talk specifically about finances, but I'm going to talk about the project. First of all, I would like to congratulate SADC-PF for implementing this project in 14 parliaments for 3 years now. I would like to thank for handing me the floor that is talking about a topic that is common to our countries and the parliaments. I understand that the MPs, as representatives of the people, should in their legislative function, fiscalization and control, pay special attention for the implementation of this project, specifically with focus on gender equality, sexual violence, early unwanted pregnancy, safe abortion, and also access to health and strong birth on humanization of health services. We do understand that to provide a universal coverage of health services or care and pay attention to sexual and reproductive health and the improvement of health should be a permanent task of all MPs. In Angola, we keep on working in the implementation of this project, and we have been getting relevant progress, specifically in the investment of hospital infrastructure, training and secondment of medical doctors, and policies to lower prices of drugs, more access to drugs, and also more access in vaccine coverage. We have defined some priorities in the scope of this project with the two main pillars: improvement of access to essential health quality services, preparation and the response to public health emergencies, and actions to health through multi-sectorial action, strengthening of production and use of data in the scope of medical science. And we think that in the mission of conducting advocacy to ensure health, physical well-being as well as psychological, Angolan parliamentarians have been contributing with the budget for the health sector to strengthen the health sector, improve the health of women and children, specifically in the control of transmissible diseases, among which HIV, AIDS, TB, and in these programs we highlight gender equality and women empowerment. We have also integrated national policies to help improve health indicators. Currently are underway strategies for the health of adolescent and family planning. And still in the scope of this project, we are promoting links with civil society organizations.
Hello, Honorable
Yes.
Lisa. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me?
Honorable Luisa, go ahead.
Que no âmbito deste projeto, nós estamos também a promover interligações.
Saying that in the scope of this project, we are promoting links with civil society organizations, with the parliamentary groups, with ministerial departments, bodies of the United Nations, such as UNDP, development agencies from the United States and Japan, we envisage to hold in May a national symposium on gender and public policies on the right of reproductive and sexual health, HIV, during the pandemic, in times of pandemic. And the objective is to national MPs on issues of HSRR, and we are also working on establishing synergies among parliamentarians, as I said, with civil society organizations.
Também a promover serviços de saúde.
In my country, we have been promoting sexual reproductive health services, access to youth, integration of sexual education in primary and secondary education, not only for students, but also for teachers, ensure family planning for women. And we have also been advocating for resource allocation in budgets for programs on HSRR in the scope of this project, which is being well implemented by SADC-PF, and we would like to congratulate and encourage the forum to keep on implementing, and that more forums should adhere to this project. And we should work together so that we can have a health system that responds to the needs of our population. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Honorable Luisa. Secretariat.
Yes, Honorable Ruzibisto.
Well, any other input from Secretariat to the Honorable from Angola, Honorable Luisa? From
No, just to appreciate the amplification done by Honorable Luisa Damião, because Angola, like other countries, 11 countries, have been doing quite a good job, which must be showcased. And this is something that we encourage. We love to hear members of parliament, demonstrating the ownership of this project and also indicating the successes and how they're leveraging the mandated roles to make sure that they adhere to universal access to health, they adhere to other elements that Honorable Damião outlined. We really are working hard to make sure that we can document each country's case study. The monitoring and evaluation specialist is currently looking at issues around universal health coverage. She has come up with a mapping exercise and she has put that in Excel. But we are going to be working with our communication specialists to make sure that we can really document those interventions around health system strengthening, the whole issue around budgets. Some countries went further to come up with an insurance for the people. I know, other countries have been going out, meeting with, implementing public-private partnerships like Eswatini. I know also what has been happening in Seychelles, Zimbabwe, DRC, and many other countries. We would like members of parliament to be interviewed, to be the face of the project, and for them to really highlight what they are doing. This brings me to another element. We are, the donor who's funding us is actually having a close out on this strategy where they've been funding. And they are also looking at other priorities. They've therefore called upon the forum as a key partner that they funded to come forward and say what the priorities should be in their next strategy. So for me, this was very good to listen to from Honorable Damião because I've picked up issues for priority. I therefore encourage other members of parliament to sit with the researchers to say to them, we understand how this project has worked. We appreciate the priorities, but please, in the next strategy, when you apply for funding, make these changes or focus on these priorities. We are also aware of the fact that when we drew up the program, We had put in workshops, capacity development and things like that. Members of parliament may say to us, we want to do road shows. We want to visit the actual people where they are in various villages. Please communicate that with the researcher so that we don't come up with activities that make sense at the operational level. But with your experience, you are able to help us or guide us, assist you in terms of how best you can maximize the impact of your roles. If, for instance, honorable members feel they want to go to radio and give a talk show to a certain group of people, please let your researcher know so that such an activity can be added. I recall very well how when we went to Seychelles, we visited a school, or we put together primary school students for them to come and talk to members of parliament about the subject matter. Those are things we'd like to hear about. So let us go out, now that we are moving towards a parliament, where are the citizens of SADC? How can we show that their voice is integrated? We are developing the model law on gender-based violence. How many of us have gone to shelters? How many of us have interviewed police officers or systems that look at gender-based violence in our countries? How many of us have asked for an audit to look at what laws need to be given attention, our policies? We are now moving to a model law on the digital economy. And with COVID, the future is digital. How do we get feedback to say, this is how it has been happening in the health sector? Can we now avoid contact and do telemedicine? How do we move forward and bring up these cutting-edge progressive issues to Parliament? The project has resources where you can, at national level, get technical support, get legal input for you to come up with a country-based analysis where you can take to Parliament and move some of these agendas. So I'm sorry to take long, but I was really quite excited by Honorable Louisa Damia in terms of the expose that they gave about Angola. But often it is not covered. And in this call, we have our media officer, Mr. Modise, who's waiting to capture such. We have Mr. Magaza, who's waiting to capture that. Please, let us put members of parliament in the forefront and demonstrate in the 5 years what you'd have achieved. I thank you, and I'm sorry for going on, but I'm passionate about issues of human and social development. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam SG. I presume, well, I think this is very great implementation strategy, which will benefit especially the high-lying fruits in regards to sexual reproductive health and rights. Any other members? I can see, I presumed we don't have Madagascar. Madagascar's hand is still up. Yes, Madagascar. Honorable. Dr. Lovani Lovanira. Voilà, Lova. Dr. Lova.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the floor. Personally, I'm a physician in the public health sector. So this is a very good platform to develop our intervention strategy when it comes to this project. I'm not only a parliamentarian, I'm also the chairman of sanitary districts in Madagascar. So 400,000 people and individuals are concerned by these matters. This is why we will advocate toward our colleague so that we may improve and support this project that SADC is already rolling out. I would like to talk about Madam Secretary General. When it comes to secondment, remote secondment of staff, we would like to do so. How can we do that? What do we need to do? We have sent a list through the SG office. We request to be seconded from home. So we will do everything in our power to support you in the implementation and the success of this project at our own level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lova, Honorable Lova. SG.
Thank you very much, Honorable. The letter for secondment, I would have to follow up in the office. I may have skipped it, but I have not received. Was it for the auditor, internal auditor, or something? But I'll follow up with Mr. Calvin and see where the secondment lapse could have been. But normally what happens, the Secretariat writes letters to all the parliaments that have not seconded staff to the SADC-PF, and we request for such a secondment. The parliament responds and gives us the CV of the individual they are seconding for the position that is vacant or open for secondment. And currently, we were looking in the area of the internal auditor. We're also looking around parliamentary business and languages, because we only have one interpreter at the forum who doubles for French translation and interpretation. So if we can get that type of secondment to assist, that will also be helpful. I may be forgetting some things. The Director of Finance and Admin may wish to add value to that, to assist in terms of, maybe I've skipped the letter, she has seen it, and we will definitely address the matter and get back to you.
Thank you, SG.
Je crois que
I don't
nous
see-
allons envoyer, nous avons déjà envoyé
We have sent a letter for the condition. It's just for the conditions about detachment, remote detachment or detachment, secondment for working from home. How is it happening? What's happening regarding this these conditions?
Okay, Mrs. Munganti, kindly elaborate.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We have not received the letter from Madagascar requesting for that information. But we did send a request to Madagascar among 4 other parliaments to consider seconding an internal auditor to the SADC Parliamentary Forum. And we have not received any response to that letter as well. So far, there's nothing that has come through from Madagascar. Like SG indicated, perhaps the letter has been misplaced, and we'll check on it and then give feedback later this afternoon to Madagascar. But in terms of secondment policy, what it is that an agreement is entered into between the SADC Parliamentary Forum and the seconding parliament. And in the current scenario, what we do is that we are offering a small allowance to staff that are seconded to SADC-PF, currently at $400 per month to each seconded employee. These employees are, as you know, are also members of staff of the national parliaments. So we request that they continue to receive their salaries and allowances, and that then they allocate some time to the work of the SADC Parliamentary Forum. So all other conditions remain unchanged, except that they do extra work for the SADC Parliamentary Forum, and then we pay them the $400 per month as a stipend. And then we also contribute towards data, internet facility, and we're currently paying about $140 per month towards that, in view of the fact that there's this, we're doing most of our meetings virtually, and obviously there are some that are working from home and may not be able to use the parliamentary facilities. And this data allowance will be reviewed and maybe withdrawn when the situation changes. But basically, that is how the secondment is currently working. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Can we move on to Mr. Raj? Mr. Raj, can you conclude with the project?
Je voudrais terminer en français.
I would
Si on n'a
like
pas-
to end in French. I would like to end by speaking in French.
Si on n'a pas de questions, ouais, je voudrais vous remercier
So I would
l'honorable
like
membre pour votre intérêt.
thank all the honorable members for contributing and participating, and
Et surtout pour le support à ces projets. Nous devons travailler
especially for the
ensemble
support to this project. We have to work together
pour le succès de ces projets. Et
for
quant à
this
Madagascar,
project to be successful. When it comes to
pour Madagascar, on est là pour vous
we
aider.
are here to
Si vous voulez nous joindre à ces projets,
if you want to join us on this project.
SADC est un projet qui affecte tous nos pays de la SADC.
SRHR is a project that is aimed at all countries within the SADC region.
Et on est équipé, on a toutes les expériences et toutes les ressources pour que le projet doit être un succès. Je vous
We are
remercie. Merci.
equipped, we have experience, and we have resources, all of which can contribute to the success of this project. This being said, I would like to thank you very much.
Thank you, Raj, for speaking in French. Much appreciated.
Merci. Merci.
Is Honorable Rose still with us? We are at the end of the program. Is that correct, Mr. Gondwe?
Yes.
Kindly guide the chair.
Yes, Honorable Chair. We prepared some closing remarks meant for the Honorable Chair. Maybe if the Chair can just read out, I can share it on the screen. Honorable Chair.
Please go ahead. I'm back again.
Yes, I was saying that we prepared, we have come to the end of the session. We prepared some remarks for the Honorable Chair and the very to make the closing statements. Now I was saying that is it in order if I share it on the screen and then you read out?
That would be great. That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can
that's
proceed.
better. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Honorable members, Ms. Boemo Sogema, SADC-PF Secretary General, the Secretariat. It is great pleasure or honor for me to make a closing statement on our meeting this afternoon. Well, from the morning till this afternoon. Honorable members, I am delighted to note that as a committee, we have been able to meet virtually and hold our meeting as planned. And let me take this opportunity
Honorable Chair, we can't hear you.
The chair is frozen. It's frozen. I think there's a technical issue.
Hello, Mr. Ronald.
I think it's beyond Mr. Ronald's. The chair dropped out because of technical issues. I guess we can request the
Maybe I saw the Honorable Vice Chairperson.
The remarks are in English. I was thinking Honorable Damiang and Honorable Vice President, but the remarks needed to have been translated. In that case, we may just request them to adjourn the meeting. You may remove the minutes from the screen, Dennis. Thank you for your effort. Maybe Honorable Damiang, kindly adjourn the meeting for us. We know it or just request that we adjourn the meeting. Maybe honorable members, in the absence of the interim chair, and also noting that we may be waiting for longer than it is desirable, allow me to request that the meeting be adjourned until we meet again. I thank you, honorable members.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Host, kindly terminate.